One day, a young man from Vietnam did something so unusual that he went viral not only in Vietnam, but across the entire internet. Suddenly, he decided to leave everything behind. No city, no electricity, no markets, nothing from modern civilization. His life would now have only nature, a vast lake, and the skills of his own 2 hands. His goal was simple yet unbelievable: to build a completely self-sufficient floating island in the middle of the water, entirely by himself. Although it sounds unbelievable, this dream led him deep into the dense rainforests of Vietnam, to a lonely lake hidden among the trees. All around him were thick forests, strange silence, and unknown dangers. Here began the toughest challenge of his life. But one thing became very clear. This man wasn't just building a house, he was actually building his own future with his own hands. In a place with no facilities and no preparation, he used his skills and ideas to create a new life from nothing. In today's world, reality is often similar. The person who learns new skills and thinks in new ways is the one who can best prepare for the future. His first task was to create a floating foundation. As he searched around, he discovered that bamboo was the most suitable material. It is strong, lightweight, and floats easily on water. So he began cutting bamboo one by one and tying them together to build a large raft. But where would he get rope? Once again, he found the solution from nature itself. By stripping the strong fibers from bamboo, he made durable ropes. Using these ropes, he tightly tied the bamboo pieces together, and slowly his floating base began to take shape. Next, he started building the wooden structure on top of the raft, but he had no iron nails. Instead, he used an ancient construction technique. By making small holes in the wood and fitting another wooden peg into those holes, he created strong joints. Amazingly, the wooden frame stood firmly without a single nail. After that came the roof. He split bamboo into thin pieces like tiles and placed them one over another so that rainwater could easily slide down. Within a few days, a small but sturdy house appeared floating in the middle of the lake. But a house alone was not enough to survive. He needed food. At first, he caught shellfish and small fish with his hands from the water. The place where he initially started working was very rocky and steep, which made it difficult to work. So he moved with his dog to another location where the shore was flat and sandy. Then he started creating a garden on top of the raft. From the forest, he collected dark, fertile soil and rotten leaves, forming small farming beds. There he planted chili, vegetables, and even a banana tree. Slowly, a small green world began to grow on top of his floating home. But he didn't stop there. In the middle of the raft, he built a small pond where he could raise fish. He also made a special trap for catching fish. One day, the trap caught a large catfish. Since it wasn't possible to stay in one place on the lake all the time, he built a small pedal-powered boat. This foot-powered boat allowed him to move quickly around the lake, making it easier to collect more wood and bamboo. Then he came up with an even bigger plan: growing rice on the water. Using bamboo, he built a large structure. Banana leaves were layered to hold water, and on top of that, he placed a mixture of soil, rotten leaves, and wood ash to create fertile land. There he planted rice seeds. Over time, his floating world kept expanding. One day while walking in the forest, he noticed a clear path. He realized that animals probably used this path regularly, so he set a trap there. After waiting for some time, the trap caught 2 wild chickens. But to him, this wasn't just food. It was a future investment. He brought the chickens back to the raft and built a small coop for them. Meanwhile, his garden needed bees for pollination. So he searched the forest and found a wild beehive. Carefully, he captured the queen bee and placed her into a new box. Soon, the entire hive moved into the new home. Now hundreds of bees buzzed around his garden, and he gained another valuable food source: honey. Finally, the time came to harvest the rice. After cutting, drying, and pounding the rice he had grown with his own hands, he finally produced rice grains. After so long, eating the rice he had grown himself was one of the happiest moments of his life. Gradually, his floating island turned into something like a small village. It had a fish farm, vegetable garden, rice field, chicken coop, and beehives. A year earlier, he had arrived there completely alone. But now before him stood a dream he had built with his own hands. This place was not just a floating house. It was the result of his patience, hard work, and intelligence. In the end, he realized a great truth: the world cannot be conquered alone. But if you learn to live in harmony with nature, you can create a fray.